So let's go to the last one, that is for the request header. So this one I'll want to do it differently, though in here you can still say use request header, something like that, and then you probably specify. But I wanna do that inside the web config, so that we also see. So here you just say request header, and then you say maybe I want it to be called API v, or maybe API version or stuff like that, something like this. So you can still do this, and then comment the rest out, comment this one out, and then this one should also be able to work for you. But I don't want to do that. I want to show you how to use config from here now. So same thing will apply. So if you're using config, let's undo all these, you uncomment it. So here it's complaining about override. Yeah, I think we have something wrong here. We need to say API versioning. Yeah, so that's the exact class. So in here you can still say use request header, for example. So in this configure, it has a number of function. So if you want to use maybe say media type param, you'll just pick that and put the required arguments. And then if you want to use query param, for example, this one, you want to use query param called API version, the previous one that we did. Then also you might want to use let's say path segment, that like the one that we are applying, and then path segment, you'll just tell it where is your, like the index of your path, for example, that. So I'll comment this and then try out with this path segment, then we see if this one will work. And also on top of this, you can still say the other settings that we had. For example, set the default version so that it can default to version 1.0, let's say, something like that. And then also you can say these other versions that are supported. So you can say add supported versions, and then this one I think you'll just add 1.0, then you add 1.2, and then you add 1.3, something like that. Yeah, something like this. Let me see, sorry for that. Yeah, so you can still specify them here, and if you run this, for example, in this index one, it should still be able to execute the same way it was doing for our previous function. So let's rerun it and see. Then we do one for the request header. Yeah, so that's it. Confirm everything is okay, and you can still run this. Same response. So that's fine. That's working. So out of here, we can now say we wanna use API version. So how do we put this one in the header? So if you try this right now, so let me reload my app. So if you try, we have uncommented path segment. So we are no longer using path segment, but rather now we wanna use the API version. So let's see what will happen in here. So if we try it out in here, so by default, so what it's doing is by default we are having this. Remember, we are having this still on our endpoint. So if we remove it, it will fail. But by default now, this one is assuming that we don't have any header here, so it's defaulting to 1. Yeah, it's defaulting to this given default. If we remove this default, let's see what will happen. I hope something different will happen if we don't have the default fallback. Yeah, so it will tell you bad request because now you don't have a default and you haven't provided the path here, or rather the header. So what did we call our header? So our header, we called it API version. So you can just say API version here. You can just copy this and say API version, and then the file version is 2.0, for example, and then we submit. So if we do this, we are supposed to get our 2.0 query submitted with location and all our users in there. And also here you're supposed to see version is 2.0. So you can comment out the rest of the defaults, and then now we can make this path better. So if you just want that, you can still come here and do away with now these versions that you had here. But I'll leave it that way so that when you're cloning the repo, you can play around and see the various formats that you had. But that has been it. So that is how you use versioning in Spring Boot 4. It's a new feature, and which I think is very amazing because of backward compatibility. And if you're doing versioning for your API now within the service, you can actually do that in a very easy way. So it has been real. Thank you for that. Hope you're coming back. Please click subscribe and like my videos so that the algorithm can recommend to many other developers who can benefit from this. And on to the next one.